Hello, yes, hi, and welcome to the Dark Knight Conspiracies, episode 65. We know their plan. So I'm going to pick up where I left off yesterday, because, again, it's dropping regularly now, so I think we have an indication of things are starting to pick up, and I'll start off with just this article. There was a plane crash in Atlanta yesterday, and a wealth planning entrepreneur was among one of the people. Again, I go back into the whole manifest thing, and there could be, you dig into these people, see their backgrounds, what were they doing, what corporations were they involved in, and you can probably, and again, this could be a nothing burger. I just find it coincidental, and in my world there are no coincidences. And again, this is the segment, Tomorrow's News Today. A 16-year-old Wyoming student was arrested in school for not wearing a face mask. School was placed on lockdown. You see what's coming here, folks? We know their plan. And I'm going to get into what the plan is as we go through this. This is being reported. Hundreds of thousands of troops have not complied with the mandates. And quite frankly, I don't think they're going to change their minds. So what is this doing? This is not just them. We're seeing pilots. We're seeing police. We're seeing nurses, doctors, well, maybe not so much doctors, but nurses, these are our first responders, folks. Now just put this all into context here. What are they trying to do on top of creating a economic crisis because they have to, because they don't have, they're broke. But there's a bigger picture here. Because we know their plan. Let's go back in time. What did the Orange Man do by winning 2016? I'll tell you what he did. He gave us a 4-year gap. Now some would say, well, what did that really do? And look, he did some good things during that time, and like I said, I have issues with him, but he did do some good things during this time period. But what was the bigger picture? What was supposed to happen? Hillary was going to get into office. She was going to get us into a world war. And we would have been defeated and overrun. So why does that matter? Well, is it possible everything that's going on with China right now, do you think that 4-year gap, do you think maybe they had inside knowledge that this was going to happen, and this is why, Hillary needed to do what she was supposed to do to stop all this? Well, what's happening right now? Well, they're collapsing. This whole Evergrande thing And there's multiple corporations tied into this. They're collapsing. They have massive flooding going on right now. Their economy is in a total downfall. Is it possible by this 4-year delay that Trump's now exposing what the real problem was? Let's not forget, it's been documented and said that China was supposed to take over the world. They were going to be the figurehead of the DS. Imagine what 4 years can do in delaying that process. And we're starting to see it now. What happens when you have a country like them, where they're backed into a corner, they can't feed their people, they can't fund their economy, because quite frankly they don't have an economy. Their economy is the rest of the world. When you get backed into a corner, you fight. And that's their only option at this point, in my opinion. And we'll circle back here in a minute, but like my last show said, I talked about the Lebanon blackout. Well, this came out today. Whoa, the Army seizes over 28 tons of ammonium nitrate in town with terror ties. Remember what I said about the garbage trucks coming in and cleaning up? And lo and behold, what else do we see? Oh, now India is having power shortages. Kind of see where this is going, folks? They're cleaning up the other countries, in my opinion. Just my opinion. I can't vet any of this stuff, but this is how I read between the lines. Again, there are no coincidences. I believe there is a global initiative where countries have signed on. And this is all about getting rid of the DS. Can't prove it, but you know, problem is things are going to get worse here before, because it's coming here. The question is, when are we going to get our blackout? When is Canada, Australia? Because right now those two countries, boy, you're seeing what their playbook, what their plan is. And I'm going to go back to somebody who I refer to as Doomsday Dave, because I used to follow him back in 2012, 2014. And most people forgot about this, about how we actually had Russian troops in this country, which the Obama administration allowed to have. What was the purpose? Again, and this goes back, Cliff High pointed this out. This goes back to the 1950s, where, you know, China and Russia had made an alliance, and the goal was China would take over, Russia would come in and do the arresting and killing of U.S. citizens, because they knew the U.S. military wouldn't fire on their own people. So they needed an outside military force. And I remember these stories back in the day about Gatlinburg, and people were, you know, posting and talking about how, you know, they were in a diner, and, you know, all these, they couldn't understand why all these Russians were there. And then you had, all of a sudden, you had this fire where they basically burnt the town down, or did they burn the base down? The date of this article is 2016. Is that maybe because December 3rd? Maybe it was because Trump won the election and they knew what was coming. I don't know, just putting it out there. And I think it's interesting to a certain degree. I kind of think it's flawed now, but you know, if you do the Nostradamus research with the whole end times thing with the Antichrist, pretty much this country was destroyed, and the only way the Antichrist was defeated, according to Nostradamus, was a secret alliance was made with Russia. Could that be what the whole Trump-Putin thing is all about? Look, make no mistakes, this Putin's not a good guy. But when you're in these positions, you do what you got to do for your country's best interests. So I kind of think whatever pact Putin may have had, or Russia may have had with China back in the day, I think that's all said and done. Don't forget, a lot of reports of, you know, massive Asians in Canada. You got an influx from the Middle East coming in through the borders. This was their plan. Again, you got to understand, it's not that hard to cripple this country in a war. We have three sides of this country that are surrounded by water that's unprotected, basically. And two borders, north and south. All you have to do is start altercations in one or two of these places. We do not have the manpower to defend all of this. But I think there were some higher ups that had the intelligence to know this. And I don't know. Just putting it out there. And I'm going to get back to this in a second, but again, you pay attention to people that are stepping down, whether it be Hollywood, TV, whatever. Now we got an Austrian chancellor resigns amid corruption allegations. Okay, this is again another indicator that there is stuff going on behind the scenes. These people know what's coming down the road, and decisions have to be made whether or not they're going to stick with it or not. And I think it's going to be bad for the people that stick with this DS playbook. That's just my opinion in all this. And what I think is interesting, and again, I'll read between the lines, I'm going to get back to the article I showed in the previous show about the nuclear sub that hit an object. Well, you know, this came out and it's being reported as a leak. This unknown aircraft with no wings, no identifications of any propulsion. Could this be what the sub hit? Could this be an underwater vehicle? Or, you know, following the UFO stuff most of my life, I always believed 90% of it was our stuff, and that there's 10% of it that wasn't. Because, like Star Trek, I do believe the good people or I say the good aliens, because we know there's different species, they have the prime directive to where they're not to interfere, but I do think they're possibly interfering now. But my whole point of this is, and I've mentioned this before in previous shows, when we get technology that gets released to us now, we've had it for 50 years. Remember when the home computers and the personal computers came out? And I talked about the cell phones with how the military was able to communicate on the field of battle. They've had this stuff. Personal computers. The military's had computers going back to the 40s and 50s. So this stuff isn't new. So think about this, and here's my take on this. Why I do believe this was a leak, and I do think this was a message to our Asian friends over there. For Uncle Joe, don't even think about messing with us, because we've got shit 100 years before you have, and we can decimate you in probably 20 minutes. So I think this was a message to, like I said, when you get a bear in the corner, they're going to fight. And this is where our Asian buddies are right now. They're losing it. They've lost Hollywood. They've lost all their spokespeople. My guess is you're going to start seeing all their MSM owned. Most people don't realize, you probably do some digging, you're going to find out that the CNNs, the MSNBCs, all these corporations are owned by our Asian buddies. Once that starts crippling, it's game over. So it's, my opinion on this is, I guess you could say maybe we are poking the bear here, but we'll see what happens. I do think we're in for a bad time here these next couple months. There's no doubt about it. I've said it before. In order, I'll just use this phrase, and I know it's from a movie. I just can't place it. Maybe one of you can help me out. In order to succeed, you must fail. I do think this whole thing is going to be taken down here, and it's going to be a bad period of time. We are going to go through a period of time. This whole thing in this country is going to be crippled and tore down, but that is the only way you can rebuild it from the start. Who plays a part in that? Only one person. And one person only, and that's God. The question is he going to let it burn, or is he going to rebuild it? Because we all know the new Babylon gets taken down. And we are the new Babylon. Whether it be this country or New York City, whatever you want to define it as. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. That is different from the Lord's justice. That is a total different ballgame. Two different things. His vengeance comes first, and then justice. So given everything that I saw today, I felt I had to bring an update. as to what's going on out there. And, you know, it's funny, it's out there now that, you know, Fauci made the comment, he was asked about Christmas, and he said it was too early to tell. And I found it funny. It was like, well, wait a minute. You bypassed Halloween and Thanksgiving, and now all of a sudden you're going into Christmas? Why Christmas? Well, according to the Catholic religion, Christmas was celebrated as Christ's birth, which we know that's not factual because he wasn't born on December 25th, because this is how the Bible's been manipulated and all this religion stuff. And again, throw religion out the window. That religion's responsible for every single war pretty much that has happened throughout our centuries. Jesus didn't preach religion. He preached a way of life. And until people start grasping that and seeking his face and repenting, things aren't going to change. There is strength in numbers, and right now we need numbers in faith. That is the only way this is all going to get fixed, in my opinion, and for a short time, because I think the Bible's clear on how this all ends. And by the way, spoiler alert, God wins in the end. Yeah. But until then, we're going to have to go through this process. So that's my rant for this Sunday. I hope some of it made sense. And if it didn't, oh well. I appreciate everybody that listens and subscribes and leaves comments. So that's it for today. Until next time, stay strong, stay safe, stay vigilant, be prepared, keep your faith, and seek the face of the Lord. And until next time, same bat channel, Zebra 3, take us home.